What's up, Rockstars? Today I'm going to be talking about the top 10 gifts and gift ideas that I can think of for a board gamer. This is coming as a board gamer, so whether or not you're just buying for somebody else, maybe you're just looking for something to buy yourself this, holiday season, or even if it's your birthday or something like that, or perhaps if you're shopping for somebody that you know is a board gamer, whether that is a loved one, a friend, relative, anybody at all, maybe your next door neighbor, who knows? Either way, I'm going to have a whole big list for you here, so let's go ahead and jump into it. Now, real quick before we start, this is a sponsored video, and today's video is sponsored by INTOTHEAM. Now, I've talked to you before about them, and as you can see, I have some new merch from them as well, and it is just as good as before. I'm going to go ahead and model it in a terrible way for you guys so you guys can see kind of how it fits, and I'll talk a little bit about it. What I wanted to say real quick beforehand is obviously there is a link below with the discount code, so you can save on that. You even get a free shirt if you do their, monthly tea club thing going on there. So there's a lot of opportunities to get shirts. What I wanted to say real quick, and the reason why I'm wearing this Stay Inspired shirt here, is because they didn't just come to my channel because I have the most subscribers, because I don't, or because, I have like the most active community ever. You guys are awesome, and I think you have a better quality than anything else, but there are people who can spam comments and, do giveaways and all that kind of stuff to get all the likes and all the comments and shares and all that. You guys know I don't roll that way, and neither do they, and that's kind of the whole point. Is they found a channel, this one, that aligns with kind of their mentality as a company and what they're kind of aiming for. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about that because I feel that's important. I cover a lot of companies on this channel that don't always do right by the consumer. And so when I see and actually hear from a company that is saying, hey, we understand that people are working hard, that people just need comfortable clothes to work in to kind of grind out their day and do whatever it is they need to do, or to stay inspired, right? It's kind of their slogan there, so that you're inspired to do your work and you're comfortable in it and you're doing all of that. That is kind of their mentality, and I think that really resonates with me doing this part-time, right? When I have another day job, I'm just kind of doing this, talking to you guys, putting in the hours, especially late. It's like 2:30 a.m. right now, and that is why they reached out to me, and that's why I think they're actually a pretty darn good company, because they make good stuff, it's fairly priced, and they have a great attitude about it. So anyway, there are links below. I'm going to go ahead and model those. It'll be dorky, you'll love it, and I'll catch you on the other side. Alright, so this is actually the shirt I've been wearing all day. I really like this one. Not just because it has a freaking really cool, just kind of overall design, I guess, but because it's really unique but subdued. So I don't see shirts like this all that often, but this one isn't in your face like some of the other ones are. And again, it's just super comfortable. I've talked about the sleeves, I've talked about the fit. Super comfy. Really, really like this one. Like I said, been wearing this all day, so I just had to stand up to film this part. Now, the reason I was wearing that one is because this one I wore, the day I got it. I had to actually wait and get it washed and then had to put it back on. So, this is freaking awesome. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You see a lot of skulls on shirts. I've never seen anything like this. This thing is freaking sweet. It's super bright and colorful, but then the black is still super black, and so I really, really like that. But yeah, no, this is again, had to wear this right away. Was super duper excited about this one. Definitely one I was excited to get, and one of my top ones. The other one I want to get is the little skeleton dude in the pill bottle. Looks freaking sweet too. And now I'm back in this one. You can kind of see how it fits. Just a normal dude like me. This is pretty much how I look most days, I guess. Today's no different than any other, except I'm filming myself. Feel a little silly doing it, but the point is that it's comfortable. I think it still looks good. It still feels good. And I actually requested a more plain one like this, because they actually sell a lot of those kind of things. And when I go to work and stuff like that, when we actually do go to work, I actually have to wear a button-up shirt and stuff like that. I'll wear one of these kind of things underneath, so it's not a lot of times if you have a lot of crazy colors or something like that, you'll see through the dress shirts and stuff like that. So I'll wear this sometimes. And again, sometimes I'm not super fancy. I'm not wearing some bright skull thing. I really appreciate this. I like the little kind of flare here. And, I just think that it's comfortable. It's the same material. That's one thing actually I haven't mentioned. I'm going to go ahead and mention this right now. I have shared some other merch with you guys. Not my merch is good, so don't worry about that. And I mean that. I'm not just saying that. from other companies, and the print is inconsistent. Either the logo, like how they print stuff on it, is different, or the shirt itself is. Where I've gotten, again, paid the same price for it, but I've gotten it from different brands, and they're different materials, and some are like really almost starchy, like they're just not, flexible, it almost seems like, right? And then this is every single shirt I've gotten from them, complete same thing. So again, highly recommended. A lot of cool stuff. You can save a whole bunch below. So if you're interested in getting some super cool shirts, I'm sure they'll ship that to you right away. And again, there's a discount code for you guys to use as well. Okay, enough about that. Let's jump into the actual gifts, all the different stuff. Now, while this is the top 10, it's not in any particular order. Instead, I've ordered it kind of, I guess just how it makes sense to me, which sometimes there's a rhyme or reason, sometimes it's not. A lot of times it's all about just transitions, and so I'm not just like spouting off like random things, like completely out there, hopefully. So I hope you can appreciate that. But don't think like the number 10 or the number 1's the best and the number 10's the worst or whatever. I don't even number them, though there are 10. This is just kind of like a top list, right? But other than that, just get whatever. Okay, so one of the great things you can do, if you know somebody that plays board games, or if you are a board gamer and you just want to treat yourself or anything like that, is to sleeve one of your favorite games. Now, I'm not a person that sleeves every game. I just don't. I think if the game never requires you to hold a card for a lot in your hand, or if you're never shuffling or rarely shuffling, sleeves aren't really doing a whole lot. If you're worried about spilling beer or soda on the table and you think the sleeves will protect that, unless you're sleeving the game board and everything else, it's going to be a mess no matter what. That's already a disaster, and the sleeves aren't going to do too much except possibly even trap the soda or beer or whatever inside. And so, yeah, that's not why you do it. You do it because you want to protect your game, because you play it a lot, it's used a lot. And so if you get that manhandling and you get that, you definitely want to get sleeves, and you can buy a whole range of them. So you can get like cheapo ones, and this is a quick Amazon search, by the way. There are a ton. I'm not going over Dragon Shields or anything like that. Just in general, you can get cheap ones, you can get small ones. Most games will tell you the sleeve size you need. If not, a quick Google search will tell you. Somebody will ask and give you the exact millimeters. You can always measure it yourself. Another thing to point out is you can kind of customize it too. So if you want, yellow ones and red ones and blue ones, or ones with art on it, you can do that. They have a lot of branded art stuff too. There's a ton of different things you can do. So again, if you got your Kingdom Death Monster and you want all black, I'm sure you can manage that. There's a lot available here. This can be anything from an actual gift to like a stocking stuffer or something you give with a card or something like that. But seriously, I do suggest sleeving your most played games that are handled a lot. It makes the whole experience better, especially shuffling it, if you can do the mass shuffle and stuff like that. And just kind of makes it a little bit more premium. Next up, now this is kind of a trick that I know of. I actually did a video way back when, like in 2018. I was fresh on the YouTube scene and it's terrible. I wouldn't necessarily suggest this video, but I talked about how I store my most played board games. When I'm playing a board game a lot, what I'll do, if I don't just leave it on the table, is I will actually get a Plano box, like a Plano 771, or there's all kinds of different ones here, but these tackle boxes, like this right here, essentially they have all these little trays inside, and you can actually store a whole board game, just like this actually. In fact, this is the one I have. So you can store a whole board game just like that. And what's great about it is you have different, compartments. So I have a tray that was when I was playing Massive Darkness. That was just all the heroes. And I could set that aside and be like, go pick your heroes while I'm setting up everything else. And I had all the mobs and the bosses, and I could open up the top, and then the big monsters were in there, and all the tokens were in another tray. And what's nice about that is it's modular. You can use it in multiple games. It's not tied to one game. It's easily transportable. And actually, I found quickens both set up and tear down by quite a bit. So if you have a game that takes a long time to set up, sometimes just having that organized like that, or even just speeding the process along, like having people pick out their character beforehand, super useful. All right, so that is the tackle boxes, but of course, there are more. For instance, you could also do a display case for their favorite miniatures or whatever doodad, or even the game board box. Nemesis, if you back to Nemesis, it came with a stand for the game, so you could stand the game up and actually show off the box art. you can totally do something like that. And you can get as fancy or as simple as you want. It really just kind of depends. But a lot of people do this. If you're into tabletop games, you got a Warhammer 40K army, or if you just like a certain set. For instance, I know people do this with like the Fallout minis or something like that, where it's just like, these are just cool, nerdy minis I like to have out, and I can take them out there. You'll see a lot of developers do this. Like I've seen Mythic Games do this and stuff like that as well. So when they're streaming or doing any kind of content, they have their miniatures painted and on display, kind of in a nice case here. So you can kind of see how you can just put stuff in here. And, you can kind of see what I'm talking about here. It's typically in glass. You can light it up very well. Plenty of space. Normally they're pretty adjustable. This is just one example. They have plenty. And in fact, you can go really small too. Now this is showing, whatever the heck these things are, but you could totally put minis on this, and it's still accessed in the front, but you can set it on a desk or something like that. Some people will do like their painting queue or something like that here. Suffice it to say, it just looks nice, and it's a way to put that, even if maybe you have a messy desk. I know I do that sometimes where I'm painting and there's stuff everywhere. Putting it in something like that makes it look super nice automatically and gets it out of the way. So another possibility, and again, it ranges price and need galore. This isn't even the cheapest. It gets smaller and cheaper than this if you want, even just a basic stand. Just something nice, especially if they have like a favorite bust or a miniature or something like that, or a favorite character. I think it's just typically a good deal there. Okay, so I talked about the plain old boxes, but there is another way to do something, especially if you want long-term storage, right? Those plain old boxes are good, but they don't stack up really well or anything like that. It's good for like a game or two, especially if you're going to bring it on the go or set it up and tear it down a lot. But if you just want to store your stuff and store it nicely, there are a few options for you. Feldherr is a very popular one for foam. You can kind of see how this works in this Blood Rage board game box right here. So that is literally that box right there, okay? But, obviously, with some foam inserts in it. There's a couple different layers, and you can kind of see how, miniatures and stuff will sit in there and be nice and comfy, and then tokens as well and stuff like that. And if you paint your miniatures, it's very nice to organize them like this, because it's super soft on them. It won't really grind away, even like the hard plastic will typically. They're not going to be jostling around as much. And it just is that little bit of premiumness to it. And also, oftentimes, these can help with setup and tear down as well, because they're kind of organized nice. But Feldherr mostly is just for protection. If you want to maybe do that whole sit up and tear down stuff, you might want to look at the Broken Token, which is another popular one. These do wooden kits. But as you can see, this is their Blood Rage, and each miniature is still protected and standing. They actually have these little sliding mechanisms that will slide in there, and then they'll have a tray per clan kind of thing, so you can actually see really fancy looking stuff here. It's got it etched on there, and here's the green one, and the purple, and the orange, and the blue, and red, and whatever, and then the monsters are here with their stuff, and it just ends up working quite well. You get all the different, this is how you get it. You got to put it together, right? So some assembly required, but at the end of the day, it tends to look quite nice. You can see how they'll slot in there, and they'll even have the name of the stuff there, and it'll even support Kickstarter stuff. Both companies will support that, which is nice. As you can see, they'll even say exactly how everything works. So, anyway, super cool stuff. The Feldherr is a little bit cheaper, though again, it's still kind of a premium thing. The Broken Token, just based off of the fact that it's wood and it's heavier and all this other stuff, is more expensive. But again, also super swank. When you open up Blood Rage to your friends and you have, here's your tribe in this tray and your tribe in this tray, it's very nice when the storage solution also helps with table space and organization, of course. So, anyway, that's the Broken Token as well. And again, another great idea. Okay, now one thing that anybody can use, whether you do D&D, whether you do tabletop, whatever it is, you could use a dice tower, and you can never have enough. I don't know what it is about dice towers, but people just love collecting them. And it could just be because you can get them super thematic and super cool. Here's just a quick Etsy search. And of course, you could get these on eBay. You can get them all sorts of places. Different companies will make them. And I mean, this one is a tower getting eaten by a kraken. And this one is being swirled by dragons. They range in all sorts of price. And they do all sorts of, it's essentially the basic thing is, tumbling your dice, but it ranges a lot. I can personally recommend this by Time Void. I know the guy who does this, and he does a great job. I've seen him post some pictures of them, and they look great. So yeah, these, again, super cool, and you can kind of see how nice this can make, just your table. It saves a lot of space. The tray's right there. Again, just something really nice that anybody could use, and something like that, especially because you can put it together too, so it can be pretty small, but maybe you want that, big dragon one too, or something like that. There are an infinite amount of dice towers. You can get all sorts of dice towers. They're all useful, all cool. You can see some that have like multiple lanes where they're going to be coming out and stuff like that. Just really, really neat stuff. We nerds tend to geek over this stuff. I know I do. Again, really cool stuff. Okay, moving along. This is going to be quick. We're going to be over and done with this. Okay, now I want to call this out specifically because it could definitely be a separate thing. In fact, I use both. So you could get the big tackle box, and that's super useful. And normally they come with some of these, but having these just in general is totally useful. Sometimes a Kickstarter will actually offer this, or some companies will offer these, and they're super specific to the game, which is kind of nice. However, you can't beat price and versatility of just a normal Plano box. It doesn't have to be the Plano brand, though they are by far the most popular. So when you're searching, you'll typically see them. You'll see them in the stores. You can grab them there, even like Walmart or something like that. By the way, I'll have some links below to some nice things in general. If it's an Amazon link, it probably is an associate link, in which case I do get a little kickback from it, but I'm not picking the most expensive thing here because that's just silly. Nobody would click it. So just anything I actually think looks good is going to be down there, but just as an FYI. What's good about these is you can use them again for other games. In fact, a lot of times they will fit in a board game box, because a lot of times they'll get the tokens and they'll have a space in the tray, but then they'll have like all the tray, like the cardboard tray you punched them out of. And oftentimes they tell you to keep that so that the box stays flat. So when you store them vertical like this, they're not, dipping because there's a lot of negative space. A Plano box, oftentimes, if there's enough, will fit in there. So you can actually include it in there, or kind of near it, or in a separate location. It's useful for tokens and tools. When I played Massive Darkness, or Descent, when I played Descent 2nd Edition, I always had these out with the stamina and the health and all that kind of stuff. Shadows of Brimstone, same thing. You can even include stuff like rubber bands for cards and, dice sets. And trust me, any board gamer that has enough games will have enough stuff they can put in a Plano box or two to make it worthwhile. Even if maybe they just paint, I have a ton for painting. So for the same thing, right? Whether it's, little, steel ball bearings that, you put in the paint pot to agitate it and shake it. Infinite uses for that. And again, they can be $2.50. I mean, they can be cheap. Okay, now maybe not quite as cheap, but super premium and nice. This is the Wargaming Mats section of Inked Gaming. You don't have to go here. I have seen some great stuff from them, and they offer an option that I'm going to talk about here in a little bit. But suffice it to say, getting mats, especially general mats like a space one, or, a desert one, or, whatever. There are a city one. These things, they can either enhance it or even just blend in the background, but dice typically bounce a lot on them, which means that they're really satisfying to roll on there. They tend to really tumble, which is nice, especially if you don't have a dice tower, or even if you do. Setting your hands on there and your wrists are just inherently more comfortable, and it just kind of has a general premium feel to it, which is kind of nice. When you're laying down the game boards, it's just kind of nice not to, like, if there's something on the table that's hard, it's going to scratch on it, on the backside and stuff like that. Lifting cards off of neoprene is much easier. A lot of times if you get it on a table, it'll slide, right? And you're like trying to pick it off, like it's somehow stuck on there. The neoprene mat fixes that because you can bend it down a little bit. These are just really nice to have. They're not terribly expensive. And I want to go ahead and let's go and click on the space one here. Now, one of the nice things that they offer is some of them will have stuff like grid lines on it that you can do if you plan on using it for the games that need that. Additionally, some of their other ones, not so much the wargaming ones, but they'll have these other mats. Let's do like oversized play mats, which are still quite large. You can use them pretty good. Here's a cool one where you can actually get the stitched edging, which is super nice. So what happens is if you don't get stitched edging, and actually I could show you right here. Here's like my mat, and you can kind of see the fray and kind of the upturn it gets, out of a lot of use. So if you're going to use this a lot, get that stitched. It's $5 more, and it'll just not do that, right? It won't fray up or curl up or anything like that. It'll be really nice. So, and again, you can, if you do play card games, you can get different Magic the Gathering or Pokemon or Digimon or whatever kind of play zones put onto it if you're going to do card games. A lot of different options there. And again, there are other companies too, but you can get, again, if they love this book series, perfect. Here you go. Here's one with the official art on it. And they have tons and tons more designs that you can pick from to make them happy, whether it's, Majora's Mask looking thing going on here, or just Skull and Roses, or whatever it might be. Okay, next up we have a 3D printer. Now, this is again one of those bigger gifts potentially, especially when it comes to repercussions, right? Because a lot of times it is kind of a whole other hobby, but the possibilities are endless, especially for a board gamer, whether they play board games or war games or tabletop or anything like that. At this point, they can print their own dice towers. They can print their own storage components. They can print their own compartment boxes like Plano. They can do a lot of stuff, alternate pieces, busts for the display stand, all sorts of stuff that they can do that's actually practical and fun to do. And they're like less than $300 easily here now. And I would suggest a monochrome screen. If you do get one, just look for that monochrome screen. It makes the time investment to print something much, much less. And that means that the screen will last a lot longer. So it's a better investment, and you'd be kind of silly not to buy that right now. But anyway, great stuff. They're actually pretty easy to use. If I can use it, I know anybody can. And they would make a great gift for any nerd, really, but especially somebody like a board gamer or a war gamer or, a pen and paper RPG player, anything like that, that could really use it to actually enhance their other hobby. At that point, it's really an investment to be able to do a lot of things that maybe you didn't know, whether it's, printing terrain or anything like that. It can be done on this. Okay, almost done here. Another cool thing, if you aren't want to go to the Plano route, for instance, let's say you don't want to be walking around with a tackle box, I can understand that. So for me, setting up in home, I don't care. But maybe if you're bringing it to a game con or to your friend's house or anything like that, or even just moving, I found this to be useful. These are gaming bags. Again, these are from Ink Gaming. It doesn't have to be from there. I just think they look cool. They come in all different kinds of styles, and you can get them looking however you want. Different companies will have different compartments and stuff like that. But essentially, it's just a very kind of robust rectangular bag that you can put board games in. So you can just take all these games out. You can store them in it. As you can see, it's quite large, big enough to fit something like Dead of Winter in or something like that. It wouldn't fit something silly like, a box like Hate or Gloomhaven or something like that. But for the most part, you can fit quite a few games in there, and they'll be protected. It's all padded everywhere, and they'll have a few zippers and whatnot. But for the most part, it's that inner cavity where you can just put a ton of different board games in there and then carry it around fairly safely and kind of stylish. All right, and lastly, what can you buy a board gamer? You could buy them a board game like Gloomhaven or whatever. If they've been talking about a game that they might be interested, if you've seen them pick up a box 3 times at a friendly local gaming store, if you have been putting off buying something for yourself and figure, now's the time. Well, now it probably is, because more often than not, there's always a sale. I just happened to look at Gloomhaven here, and it's 16% off. You can save $22 on it. So there's always typically something good going on. If you're like me, you like more board games than you know what to do with, and so you're interested in a lot. So you may as well pull the trigger on one and treat yourself nice, treat those you love nice, and if they've been wanting a board game, get them a board game. I think there's nothing better to do in any kind of celebration, whether it's a birthday, whether it's an anniversary, whether it's, and I mean this, whether it's Christmas or anything like that. The best way to celebrate is with family, and that's what these board games are all about, is sitting around the table, enjoying those around you that you love, your friends and your family. I have personally actually brought board games, my wife's favorite board game, to our anniversary, so that we can actually spend time together and spend time playing board games, because we enjoy it so much. It's a great bonding mode, as long as we don't get too competitive. But no, seriously, that's what it's all about. That's what all of this is all about, is celebrating board games or RPGs or war games or anything that brings multiple people around the table to spend time with each other face to face. And so encouraging that through the purchase of one, especially over a break of some kind, I think is the best money can buy. It really is. So anyway, that's my suggestion. Again, there's going to be a lot of links down below, as well as the sponsor link. Be sure to check them out. They make really good stuff. Super comfortable. Not kidding at all. I love it. I wear this stuff all the time now. It's fantastic shirts and a freaking cool design and price. So why not? Anyway, in fact, it's, with that discount, it's actually a better deal for you. So, anyway, links below. I'm going to be doing some other videos. I'm going to be having a video about ISS Vanguard here real soon, if you're watching this at the time of me posting. And then, of course, I'll be doing several different top 10s and then a Game of the Year awards ceremony thing. I don't do like a top 10, favorite games of the year kind of thing. Instead, I will do like the best indie game and the best 6-player game. I'll have different categories and we'll kind of go through that. The one that has the best production value, maybe not the funnest, but premium wise, these are nice. I'll be doing that again here real soon as well. So if you're interested in that sort of stuff, plus of course your gaming news, then be sure to subscribe with the bell icon. Otherwise, YouTube won't show you anything and the subscribe doesn't do you much good. But you click that bell icon, YouTube will actually notify you when I post those videos in the future. On your way out, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. It does help a lot and I'm very grateful of it. And with that out of the way, one final thank you and shout out to my wonderful, amazing patrons. And I will talk to you guys again very soon.